Next item is AB 303, Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Witnesses in support, witnesses in opposition. Finance.
We're neutral on this bill, also as it clarifies that strip searches of juveniles be conducted in private. There is a possible mandate because this measure may constitute a higher level of service because it could impose minor additional workload on county probation departments when supervising incarcerated juvenile offenders, but we believe this is very minor.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? Seeing and hearing none, without objection, we'll move this bill to the suspense file. Next, we have AB 608, Assemblymember Gordon. Witnesses in support, witnesses in opposition. Finance.
Department of Finance is opposed to this bill because it's unnecessary. A list of emergency food providers, WIC program, and National School Lunch and School Breakfast Program enrollment information is currently provided to CalFresh applicants by counties upon request. If needed, the Department of Social Services could administratively issue clarifying guidelines to counties to include food programs that target children as a CalFresh program best practice. Requiring counties to provide this information, however, creates a new state mandate.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? Seeing and hearing none, without objection, we move this item to the suspense file. Next, we have AB 703, Assemblymember Bloom. Witnesses in support? Scurry forward.
Alan Hertzfeld on behalf of the Judicial Council in support.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Finance.
We're neutral on this bill because it provides additional protections to a juvenile's right to competent representation in delinquency proceedings, and we believe that the costs to Judicial Council are minor and absorbable.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? Without objection, we move this item to the suspense file. Next, we have AB 773, Assemblymember Baker. Witnesses in support, witnesses in opposition. Finance.
Department of Finance is also neutral on this bill. We estimate that the bill will result in only minor and absorbable increases in workload for the Board of Psychology and the Medical Board, and a negligible impact on revenues to both boards due to some licenses being able to get the 2 years worth of licensure out of their first license term.
Comments or questions from committee? Seeing and hearing none, without objection, we move this item to a suspense file. AB 1058, Assemblymember Baker. Witnesses in support, witnesses in opposition. Finance.
The Department of Finance opposes this bill because it's unnecessary. Current law already requires the Department of Ed, in consultation with the Department of Social Services Office of Child Abuse Prevention, to perform a scope of work which includes both creating and posting guidelines on the detection and reporting of child abuse and neglect, and creating an online training module that's supposed to be housed at the Department of Social Services on their website. The Department of Education would require approximately $59,000 general fund to develop its own separate new training and post it online on its website.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? Seeing and hearing none, without objection, we move this item to the suspense file as well. Is it back?
Can I make a comment on that last one, please?
Absolutely. Senator Bell.
Well, in my district, we just had another multi-million-dollar settlement on child abuse in schools, and I think training may be a wise thing to prevent these kinds of lawsuits. So that would save taxpayer money from that standpoint. Not to mention it's good for policy, but I just want to point that out.
Thank you. We can have sergeants call the remaining members, Assemblymember Chavez, Hernandez, who's also presenting for Nazarian, Assemblymember Bonta, and Assemblymember Ridley Thomas. Don't make me close the committee, because I will. Why don't we open, Why don't we open the roll on the items that are pending so that Senator Bell can add on. First, we have AB 220. Secretary, call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Bell? Bell, aye. Nielsen?
Still on call, 6-0. Next item is AB 331. Secretary, call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Bell? Bell, aye. Nielsen?
6-0. We'll keep that item open. Next, we have AB 599. Secretary, call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Bell? Bell, aye.
6-0. We'll keep that item open. Next, we have AB 1166. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass as amended to the Senate floor. Bell? Bell, aye.
6-0. We'll keep that item open. Next, we have AB 1149. Secretary, please call the roll. Oh, he's on the roll. He's on it. We'll keep that item open for Senator Nielsen. Okay, we're gonna start closing on the items that we've already voted on. So do we just? Come in here with that smile and try to Members, we have Senator Hernandez has graced us with his presence. Let's begin with item 804.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Assembly Bill 805 requires the Court Reporters Board of California to adopt regulations to establish continuing education requirements for renewal of shorthand reporter certification that are relevant to the practice of shorthand reporting. Further, AB 804 requires the board to establish a procedure for approving providers of continuing education courses. It also ensures that every CSR meets a continuing education minimum standard, that the verbatim record continues to be held to the highest standard possible. As your committee analysis points out, there is a minimal cost to this bill. With me to testify in support of Assembly Bill 805 is Ignacio Hernandez, my cousin of the California Court Reporters Association. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Is there a conflict of interest here going on? Go ahead. Witnesses in support.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, Ignacio Hernandez on behalf of the California Court Reporters Association. We are the sponsors of the measure. The court reporters are coming forward asking for this statewide requirement. Right now, there are court reporters that are going forward with continuing education on a voluntary basis, trying to keep up with the latest technology and the latest changes in the law. However, it's kind of a hodgepodge where we don't have everybody in the profession participating in continuing education courses. So this would create a statewide standard and ensure that everyone is up to speed. They cover technology, they cover changes that all of you pass when it comes to criminal procedure and civil procedure. And other than getting their initial license and licensing exam, there's nothing ongoing for the profession. So this is a way to strengthen the profession and strengthen the ethical rules, and we ask for your support.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
The Department of Finance is opposed to this bill because it would require an effective date before the board can realistically implement the provisions, and it would exacerbate the insolvency of the Court Reporters Fund by not authorizing a fee sufficient to cover the board's implementation costs. The Department of Consumer Affairs indicates that because the board's fiscal year 2015-16 appropriation cannot absorb the increased staff costs, that this bill would necessitate the board would not be able to hire staff to address the workload until July 1, 2016. As currently written, that's the date that this is supposed to go into effect.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? There's a motion by Senator Leyva. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? No. Bates, no. Bell? Bell, aye. Hill? Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen?
We'll keep that item open to allow our absent members to add on. I understand you're also presenting for Assembly Nazarian?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Thank you, if you'll indulge me. Okay.
Members, this is AB 970.
That's correct. So AB 970 relates to local minimum wage. Mr. Chair and Senators, AB 970 fills a gap in the Labor Commissioner's authority to make low-wage workers whole in wage theft cases. The bill clarifies the Labor Commissioner's authority to cite an employer and recover wages owed in two instances: one, for failure to pay the local minimum wage, and two, for failure to reimburse an employee for all necessary expenditures incurred by the employee directly related to his or her duties as required by existing law. The bill states that the Labor Commissioner shall not issue a citation if the local entity has cited or initiated an investigation for the same violation. This bill does not apply to employers complying with minimum wage laws. The failure to recover wages on behalf of the worker after a citation has been issued will result in the worker bringing a separate claim before the Labor Commissioner. This adds unnecessary new costs and adds delays for workers who deserve full compensation. I thank you and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, members. Witnesses in support.
Mr. Chairman and members, Mark Schacht with California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation, the sponsors of the bill. As the Assembly member indicated, this bill, its practical effects will reduce the number of workers who are forced to file a separate claim before the Labor Commissioner or a civil action in Superior Court to recover these lost wages, and it'll increase the number of workers who are likely to be made whole as a result of the Labor Commissioner's new citation authority. So happy to answer any questions and ask for your support.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition, please come forward.
Chris McKaylee, Mr. Chair. Our concern are both policy and fiscal. As we noted in the policy committee, the additional authority granted to the Labor Commissioner will increase annual costs to the DIR of about $125,000. That is paid for then by increased employer assessments, and therefore our policy concern is that employers up and down the state will be paying these increased assessments for the small number of jurisdictions who have a higher local minimum wage by local ordinance. We don't think that those costs should be borne by all statewide employers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mira Morton here on behalf of the California Chamber of Commerce, also in opposition for the reasons already stated.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? Senator Leyva.
I would just thank the author for authoring the bill and Assemblymember Hernandez for presenting the bill. Anything that we can do to make sure that workers are not denied their wages, we should do. And usually it is the lowest wage workers who have their wages stolen or not paid. So I am in strong support.
Thank you. Senator Bell.
Just that a lot of communities have passed the local minimum wage ordinances, and I think those should be enforced. And it is apparent that there's a lot of violations of those. So in my mind, I think it's very important that we have enough support in the Labor Commissioner's office to enforce all those ordinances and make sure that the laws are being followed.
Thank you. I'll take that as a motion. Is there additional questions or committee? Oh, Finance.
We don't have a position on this bill. As one of the testifiers noted, the Department of Industrial Relations estimates $125,000 in labor enforcement and compliance funds for field enforcement staff to enforce the provisions of this bill. We don't necessarily concur with that. And we would note that any request for additional resources by the DIR would be evaluated in detail during the budget process this fall.
Thank you. Additional comments or questions from committee? Seeing hearing none, the bill is moved by Senator Bell. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? Bates, no. Bell? Bell, aye. Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen.
Thank you. We'll keep that item open for our absent members. I understand you're also presenting for Senator Ridley Thomas.
Yeah, apparently my colleagues see me as labor chair, as in providing extra labor on their behalf, so
I hope they give you part of their per diem as well.
I think they ought to. They ought to, that would be right.
Members, this is Assembly Bill 1175.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'm pleased to present Assembly Bill 1175, which would provide fiscal certainty to the Bureau of Electronic and Appliance Repair, Home Furnishings, and Thermal Insulation by raising the statutory ceiling for licensing fees. This bill would require a one-time minor and absorbable IT cost of approximately $500. There would also be an absorbable one-time cost to Department of Consumer Affairs to adopt these regulations and increase fees. This bill will not raise the fees that licensees must pay by 25%. It will simply allow the Bureau to use regulatory process to see a fee increase if it becomes necessary. If fees are raised to the statutory maximum, both the Bureau of Electronic and Appliance Repair and Home Furnishings and Thermal Insulation special funds would receive a combined increase of revenues, $1 million in 16-17 and $1.6 million in the following years. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
According to the Department of Consumer Affairs, implementing the provisions of this bill will result in additional revenues totaling $1,029,000 for the HFTI fund starting in fiscal year 2016-17 and ongoing. It will also result in additional revenues totaling $622,000 for the BEAR fund starting in 2017-18 and ongoing. The DCA projects that the HFTI fund will become insolvent in fiscal year 2017-18, and the BEAR fund will become insolvent in 2019-20 without a fee increase, and this provides a fee increase that would help with that.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? It's a motion by Senator Leyva. Secretary, call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? Bell? Bell, aye. Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen.
We'll keep that item open for our absent members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members.
Hernandez.
Thank you.
I'm sure your colleagues thank you as well. Half of the assembly. We have Assembly Bonta. Please come forward. Members, this is AB 991. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Senators. AB 991 makes various technical, conforming, or minor changes to the teacher's retirement law. These changes are necessary to ensure that CalSTRS is able to continue the effective and efficient operation of the programs under the teacher's retirement plan. These changes are non-controversial and will not result in any program costs. I have with me Mary Ann Ashley from CalSTRS to answer any questions you may have. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Witnesses in support.
Mary Ann Ashley with California State Teachers Retirement System. This is our annual housekeeping bill, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
We don't have a position, but we note that CalSTRS estimated implementing certain provisions of this bill would cost approximately $100,000 for necessary upgrades to its member database system. However, those costs will largely be offset by operational efficiencies achieved as a result of reduced claims processing.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? It's a motion by Senator Leyva. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? Bell? Bell, aye. Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen.
Thank you. Mr. Senator, we'll keep this item open for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senators.
Thank you. Waiting for Chavez. Oh, Senator Mathis. Senator Mathis is presenting for Senator Chavez, AB 598. Please proceed.
Mr. Chair and Senators, AB
583 will provide employment protection to members of the National Guard who work in California and are called up by their governor in another state. Nationally, 13 states offer similar provisions to protect National Guard members, and 11 have introduced legislation this year. AB 583 is supported by the Department of Defense, the California Professional Firefighters Association, and various veterans organizations across the state. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Finance?
We believe this bill will likely have a minimal fiscal impact on the state. There are very few service members, fewer than 300, that would fall into this designation, and the potential minor reimbursable state mandate, which would result from having a city prosecutor or county DA represent the military personnel, occurs only if an employer fails to comply with the employment protections for this very small group.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions from committee? There's a motion by Senator Hill. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, I. Bates? Bell? Bell, I. Hill? Hill, I. Leyva? Leyva, I. Mendoza? Mendoza, I. Nielsen.
Thank you.
Okay, members, this is 5-0. That bill is out. Thank you, Chairman Mathis, for going above and beyond duty. Members, we're going to go back and close on the items that we currently have open, beginning with AB 220. Secretary, call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Nielsen?
6-0, that item is out. Next item is AB 331.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Nielsen?
6-0, that item is out. AB 599. Secretary, call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Nielsen?
6-0, that item is out. File item AB 1166. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass as amended to the Senate floor. Nielsen?
That's 6-0, that item is out. File item AB 804. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Hill? Hill, aye. Nielsen?
5-1, that item is out. Next is AB 970. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Nielsen?
5-1, that item is out. AB 991, sorry, AB 991. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Bates? Nielsen?
5-0, that item is out. Next item is AB 1149. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Nielsen?
6-0, that item is out. Last item is AB 1175. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Bates? Nielsen?
5-0, that item is out. Members, this concludes our Appropriations Committee for today. Thank you.